guys, this is kind of well, it is my first kind of rambling podcast-esque talk video. Well, since after Christmas is the first year I've recorded. That wasn't like a screen recording. If you've been looking at my channel, you probably noticed I've been posting some content of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Well, Scarlet specifically. And well, for Christmas I got 8 games. Like I got like 5 physical games. And then I had like 2 of like the gift card things for the eShop, which I used to then buy like some of the games along with some DLC for like the Skywalker Saga, stuff like that. So yeah, I've been a bit busy gaming, for I'm an epic gamer. And the game I've played the most, I think, I don't know the specific times, but I'm pretty sure I've played this the most. It's the one I'm most into for games I got, and it's Pokemon Scarlet. And this was a daring thing for me to want, because I was looking for games, and throughout like this year, I guess as a whole, I mean, probably like the second half of the year, I believe, was me trying to get back into Pokemon, or get into Pokemon in the first place, because I've had experience with Pokemon, like obviously knowing it exists is a massive thing, you know. I've played a friend's copy of it before for like a few hours, and I'm pretty sure what I did was level up their Pidgey. I was just grinding for them in like X and Y or something. I don't know which game it was. But yeah, that's like all my experience in the mainline games prior to that. And I played a lot of Pokemon Go when it released, and I never got bored of it. I know most people like the trend died down and they just stopped. But for me, that never happened. What happened was my brother dropped my phone down the toilet, and I didn't have a phone for like 5 years. Brilliant. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I have a phone now, of course. I should go back to Pokemon Go. And yeah, it's fun. I still enjoy it. And on top of that was like me emulating stuff, and you know, I had friends who wanted me to like emulate the Pokemon games, like DS stuff. Melon DS is a fantastic emulator. It's someone who just like emulates on their phone. You know, not ideal, but it gets a job done. But the DS, like stuff like that, like Pokemon especially, perfect for a phone emulator, because it's not demanding and you go all you need. And emulators actually help the experience of the older games, because you can like times the speed a lot. Like Pokemon Heart Gold, that is my first game, I guess, I fully did a playthrough of. And yeah, I got past Victory Road with just Quagsires, and I caught you can go like the Kanto region stuff, but I guess I could later, but I'm not interested in doing that right now. I do think it's cool that they basically double the size of that game, you know, but lots of tedious stuff, which is why I'd avoided the Pokemon mainline entries for so long. You know, RPG bullshit, stuff like that. It was very noticeable, but it was forgivable. Forgivable. It was forgivable because I had like my speed times. It was my very first mainline entry, so it wasn't annoying me that much. So that's what I was doing for like half a year. Like I'd occasionally go to it. I lost my save at some point, and then I took a break and eventually made a new one. So yeah, overall pretty positive experience, and it made me interested in like the Switch games, which I'd actually been like trying to see if I should try out a Pokemon, but the thing with the Switch games is they are so poorly received by Pokemon fans. Sword and Shield just gets shat on, and like the remake of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, it was also shat on, which to me it looks like a very faithful remake. So I think people are just realizing that game is dated. Or maybe it's because they did put the price at a full 50 quid, even though it doesn't have like the same quality of life stuff. And just various other things that have been added in like the recent generations to Pokemon. I don't know when some specific stuff were added, but which I'll cover later. Um, but there's been some very helpful stuff. Me going from Heart Gold to Scarlet, I immediately noticed how much better the franchise has gone. How much more just good. It's just like a much more enjoyable and less frustrating experience. And that's obviously a good thing. And it's made me wonder why Pokemon fans have been shitting on his games. And so now I have like a better understanding of the mainline series. And I was looking at, well, just Pokemon games in general. And I was looking at like the spin-off games. I played Pokemon Unite. It gets boring after like an hour. It's Pokemon League of Legends. Like, it's a pretty harmless game. Not sure why Nintendo are like making a bunch of ads for it like a year later. Or I guess Game Freak. I don't know who's in charge of the ad stuff. Weird. It's very weird. But yeah, that's a free-to-play game. I think that's cool. Again, it's another decent like spin-off entry, which is something I play for the mainline games. Then there's Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I will not be buying those games. No fucking chance. They are shoddy Gen 1 remakes with Pokemon Go mechanics for some reason, with like the catching stuff, which I don't get, because the only reason the catching mechanic was like that in Pokemon Go is because, you know, you're in person in real life, you're probably outside, you don't want some complex RPG shit, they're just trying to catch them all, right? So, I don't know why they thought that'd be appealing for like a console game. I don't understand that. But yeah, I'd rather emulate like the original games or anything other. So, when it comes to complaints about that game, I get it, you know. But looking at Sword, Shield, Scarlet, and Violet, I don't get. Well, first there's Sword and Shield, and I didn't ask for it, but I surprisingly got Pokemon Shield for Christmas, and that was cool because I prefer Shield to Sword, and I was never asked for it. So good coincidence. I don't really know many of the differences. I only know I prefer Shield because the legendary is cooler, and also Unicorn Ponyta, very fucking cool. I think that's awesome. Now, Gen 8, I don't like a lot of the new Pokemon, but I think the returning cast from like the Pokedex, when I briefly scanned over it, pretty decent. So yeah, I can forgive that. And also, it's very subjective what Pokemon are good, you know? I don't think you can get an objectively bad Pokemon. Especially when we're looking at rosters of 400 Pokemon, and then they have the DLC expansion pass, which gives you 2 DLCs, each with 100 Pokemon. And that's like 27 quid. I haven't bought it, and I haven't played Shield yet, because I've been focusing on Scarlet. I don't want to start 2 Pokemon games at once. But I'll absolutely check it out when I'm further into Scarlet. And I'll probably like it. Because what I've looked at so far, I think it looks like a solid Pokemon game. I don't get why it's so hated by Pokemon fans. And I don't know. I really don't get it. I don't know if it's fatigue, and obviously because I'm entering the mainline stuff now, I don't have that fatigue. But coming from an emulated version of the DS game era, those games, that beloved era of Pokemon games, where Pokemon was apparently in its prime, according to these people, I had to play that game at times 8 speed, I believe. Either way, it was over double the regular speed, just for it to, you know, not be too tedious. And even then, it was still quite tedious. I was very tempted to have XP multiply mods and stuff. Lots of bullshit. So I don't know how it's become this thing where the old Pokemon games are good and the new ones are bad, because it's a pretty consistent franchise. And I know a lot of people mentioned, oh, well, the series has been stagnant for so long. There's merit to it, you know. I think that's quite true. Like I cannot tell the DS games apart. But Sword and Shield compared to the new Scarlet and Violet, very different, because Scarlet and Violet has done a lot of revitalizing with this franchise. Which, well, Pokemon Legends Arceus, I haven't even covered that yet. That's also a game I'm not going to get. I was tempted by the open world stuff. I was like, oh yeah, this is totally something that I would much prefer. Problem is that open world kind of fucking sucks. It's just kind of a blank space. It feels more like a beta to Scarlet and Violet, if you ask me. But again, I haven't played it. I could be wrong. That's just from what I've looked at. And that game is well received, I believe. It probably mixed because Pokemon fans get angry. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't get what the opinion on these games are, because they sell well, because Pokemon sells well, and that makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot of complainers. And then those complainers mention that people are just satisfied with like the bare minimum. I don't get that, because I don't see how they're bad necessarily. When it comes to these mainline entries on the Switch, which are Gen 8 and Gen 9, the spin-offs, like I said, I get for those reasons I mentioned. But again, I still think it's kind of subjective. And I could be wrong, because again, I haven't actually played them. But yeah, Scarlet and Violet takes like what Legends Arceus had and just fucking perfects it. I think the open world is really good. I like how you can go anywhere and there's so many things to do. Like you've got like 18 different like main objective points, and you can go to each one whenever you want. You know, like currently I only have 2 gym badges, 2 of those like Titan badge things, and I've beat 1 Team Star Leader, and it's been very fun. It's taken me like 10 hours or so, I believe. That's a guesstimate, because I still got the first played 3 days ago or whatever. I know like the Pokemon game look at, actually yeah, they do have that playtime thing. I remember checking it was 12 hours. So yeah. It took me a while and it didn't feel that tedious. The tutorial stuff, well, the intro I should say, it's not completely a tutorial for most of it. The intro stuff I feel is long, however it's necessary. It took me like 2 hours or something to get through, I think. Maybe 3. I believe that's just because I was being slow though. I reckon you could get that done in like an hour and a half or something. And then like, because it's got the academy school and stuff, once you get through all that, you get your main quest and it sets you off to the open world. And I think because of that intro, it helped make the fact that you can go anywhere not overwhelming, which is good, because there is a certain other Nintendo Switch open world game that doesn't understand that. Breath of the Wild, also a good game. I just think it's overrated. Meanwhile, I think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet very underrated, which is weird because of how well it's sold, but it's not critically acclaimed. There's been a lot of complaints, people calling it a buggy mess, and there's a lot of footage that does prove this. I do think that there's a huge point to be made about the state of this game. Now, firstly, we gotta cover the graphics, and yes, this game does look like a GameCube game, and I argue there's probably GameCube games that look better. But that's in terms of the open world. I think the UI stuff is very clean and very helpful, and I think it's nice. I think the Pokemon models are superb. They're perfect. I just think the open world itself, not great looking, but I'm not playing Pokemon for some like stellar looking world. Like, this is their first mainline game with an actual open world. So yeah, he's fine. And you could argue they should be doing better, Game Freak, considering Pokemon's the most profitable company out there. And yeah, probably. But I don't think it's bad. It doesn't have an impact on my gameplay. And I think it has a weird charm to it by looking so old. and then you have people bring up the whole thing, the Switch and a powerful console. Bullshit. And then you've got people who say Game Freak didn't optimize this game for Switch. I think that's also bullshit. I think if it was optimized poorly, it would not run as well as it does. And performance issues, there are some minor ones from what I've noticed. You get some frame dropping in particularly like city, town areas, which makes sense. The roaming NPCs, they do like, if you get like far away, you'll just see them like move so slowly, and yeah, they don't look good. A lot of just the random ones, the ones you are supposed to interact with and aren't just like background elements, they look fine. They're cool. I have no issues with them. Well, I have no issues with this in general, but I have no critiques for certain things. But yeah, I think the open world itself is really well designed. I think the areas are great. I love how you can go over it, like I said. And yeah, I think the areas and stuff, I think they are well designed, both from a gameplay and design perspective. Like, graphically, this game isn't stellar, but I think the design choices made for the locations are really neat. Like the academy, that's cool. You got like a big Pokemon tower, Pokeball, and there's just a lot of like points of interest, and there are stuff going on within them. There's lots of stores and whatnot, like any other Pokemon game. But with it being open world, there's a greater charm to it, and I think there's like a lot of other stuff going on. Probably a lot of stuff that I don't even know, because again, I only have 2 gym badges. Because you could do anything, you can go to like the hardest gym straight away or whatever. But what I did was I set out for the water gym, because in that city there is a woman who will trade you a Paldean Wooper for an OG Wooper. So and Quagsire is my favorite Pokemon, so I wanted to do that. And it took me a while. It was a long journey, and it was very satisfying with the progression and stuff. Very fun, have all the wild Pokemon and stuff. Pretty crazy adventure, and I got to the end of it. And that's the last I played of it. I'm going to continue to play it probably after this video. But yeah, that was super fun, and it did take a while. I got a lot done, because like I said, I've done like 5 main objective goals so far. But I've put in a lot of hours, even though I only had the game for 4 days now. There's still a lot more to do, and even beyond the main objective, I do believe there's something after all that stuff involving the creator. I'm pretty sure that's a thing going on. I don't know. I'm not really informed on like spoiler stuff. I've just seen some things. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And obviously, post main objective, there's still stuff to do, completing the Pokédex and whatnot. There's a lot, and potential DLC to be added. Considering you have a 400 Pokemon Pokédex and so Sword and Shield, I assume I'll do the same expansion packs thing, which I'll probably buy because I really like this game. And the existing Pokédex is cool, but there are definitely a few Pokemon I'd like to see make their return. Ponyta, Geodude, Totodile, Pokemon like them. There's a lot, I think. But yeah, it's a really good Pokédex anyway. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and I like exploring it. I like everything going on, and I'm going to continue to like it. I don't even know what I'm going to do next, because I set out specifically for the water gym, and I beat it. And there is actually some challenge to the game. It's not as easy as like you'd say with other Pokemon games, because you can go anywhere. You can actually make the game harder or easier for yourself. And also, I don't know if this has been how long this has been a thing for, but you can have like really strong Pokemon found in the wild. You can find them. Like I got really lucky and found like a level 27 thing going on, and like a level 35 cactus thing. Yeah, I can't remember the Pokemon names. They're new. A lot of them are new to me because I'm not familiar with a lot of the generations beyond Gen 1 and Gen 2. A lot of it I'm not particularly familiar with. But yeah, I was very exciting that they won't obey and they'll kind of do their own thing until you get like a certain amount of gym badges. I think that's cool. I think that makes sense. And you still have the option to use them, so it's not being restrictive per se. It's just adding challenge and logic to things. So I think that's cool. I don't know if that's new to Scarlet Pilot or what, but I do find that to be a nice touch. How you can find these like really powerful things whenever, and I don't know how like the level stuff works. I don't know if it scales to your level or if it's like dependent on the area, and it might be a mix. I don't know because there's a lot of something to figure out, and it's cool like discovering new stuff. And each area will hold your attention for a while, just all the Pokemon stuff. So yeah, I think the open world and how it blends with like your goals and stuff, perfect. And now I don't know what to do. I could go, because you can go like west or east from like the school, and that's kind of like set you up on like where you'll go first. So I guess we could go to the other way and start there. And I again, I don't have the level of scale there that I could find out. And in the bottom left corner, the side I'd been going on, there's like a psychic gym that I didn't even go to. And there's like so many things, and I'm sure lots of stuff going on between each destination. It's a little journey to get from each main objective, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, I have no complaints to the open world. I think they did a fantastic job. It's much more complete and has a lot more going on than Arceus. So yeah, points for that. Also, the legendary Pokemon in this, really cool. I like how you have them from the start of the game. Like, once I actually give a fuck about legendary Pokemon. I say it as someone who's new to the series, but like the thing is, I didn't have a care before, and I don't care about a lot of the old ones. So yeah, the fact you get a bond with them early, I think is really cool. Also, the story is surprisingly good from what I've experienced so far. I like the characters. So yeah, it's nothing spectacular, but I think there's some good bits. So I think it's very, very good for a Pokemon story standards. Probably the best. For the ones I've encountered, there might be better. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's very good. You know, like Arvin. When I first saw him, I was like, oh, that's gonna be the angsty rival character. But no, he's got a lot of depth, and he's like helping his dog and stuff, trying to heal him, and that's really wholesome, you know. So just very good characters, at least in terms of like the recurring main cast, you know, because you have some like goofy gym leaders, which I guess aren't bad characters. I just don't like have an ironic attachment to them. Like the water gym leader, I can't remember his name. Weird old dude, and I think that's just funny because yeah, there's a lot of charm going on with the game. So yeah, then you got the online stuff, and there's like these terror stuff. Terror typing is really cool. I think that's a fun gimmick, and it's well balanced. So yeah, I rate that. But yeah, on top of that, you have, because you can do like these terror battles with other players online, and you get like a special terror type Pokemon you can catch, and that's cool. And again, it gives replayability. Then you've got trading, and I think trading in this game, I don't know if it's been like this before, but I think in this game it's really well done. You have these specific like link trade codes you can use to trade your Scarlet or Violet exclusives for the opposite version exclusives. Like I got a Drifloon, and I trade it for like a level 50 something Mischievous. Like I didn't have to wait in a queue for long. I immediately found someone because of how popular the game is. So that was fantastic. I think a point needs to be made that the trading is kind of OP, because on the other side you have surprise trading, and that lets you select any Pokemon and you put it in a random trade with someone else, and you get a random thing out of it. It's a blind trade. So yeah, I don't think this is a smart idea to include this in the game, but I think it's a good thing to have. I think especially young players, I think there should be like some warning about how the fact that you're just going to get something at random, because I don't think there's literally no value, to my knowledge, of putting in something good, because you're just wasting it. However, if you go to the start of the game and you catch like some level 4 Lechonks or whatever, surprise trade them, you'll probably find like a couple people who are doing a similar thing, just getting rid of their weak Pokemon. But then you'll get something like a Sprigatito from fucking Germany, which is wild to me. And I had like another level 50 something Pokemon and just various new things. I tried with like 5 of them. And yeah, one of my boxes in my boxes section, which another thing is, I like how you can open your boxes whenever. You don't need to go to a Pokestop. I don't know how long that's been a thing, but that's really good, especially in an open world game, to have access to that. I feel like there should probably be more than 8 boxes. I think 8 boxes, there's a lot of room, but I don't know. I think some like dedicated players will probably want more room just for collection's sake. But it's more than necessary, so I think it's fine. But yeah, I have one for just traded Pokemon, because I think it'd be unfair to use them in my regular game until like I've completed the main goal stuff. But yeah, it's very cool and it's very accessible. Like I've already gotten 2 exclusives from trading stuff. You know, that's how easy it is. And something that put me off again these games initially, because like I said, I was wanting to get into a game and I was like, oh, Scarlet and Violet, that was something for me. But then you hear stuff about the performance issues and whatnot, and then you have like an absurd amount of exclusives. There's a huge amount. But because of how convenient the trading is, I don't think it's much of a problem. And because you have Pokemon Home, which is like a transfer thing, not available for Scarlet at the moment, but you can use that to get a lot of them, a lot of Pokemon. A lot of them are brand new, though, so you can only get them by trading. But again, the trading is very convenient. I'm actually surprisingly confident. I believe I can eventually complete that Pokedex. Especially since you can actually get a second legendary. I believe. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen proof of it, but if that's possible, then that's obviously a legendary you can use for trading, because one of the codes, the link codes there are, is to trade like between legendaries. So yeah, you could get both legendaries with ease, I presume. I don't know how easy it is, but I assume it's easy considering from my experience the trading goes quite well. So that's something I'll need to do more of. And yeah, I also, there's like other new mechanics, like just sandwich mechanic, which is quite handy. I wish they'd explain it a bit more, because I'm still quite confused about it. But I think it's fun, and I think the sandwich minigame is funny. I like that you can set up like a picnic and just unleash all your Pokemon, and your Pokemon have like unique interactions and animation and stuff. That is really fun and cute. So yeah, I just think it's a really good game. And when it comes to like the performance issues and stuff, like I said, there's some when you get in like busy areas, but nothing noticeable, just some initial chugging, which happens in 90% of Switch games. And if you're a Switch user, especially if Switch is your main console like me, myself, I really couldn't care less about something like that. It runs smooth enough the majority of the time. And when it comes to bugs, I know there's a few visual quirks, but you know, nothing that major. And on top of that, gameplay glitches, I haven't had any. And again, I've had over 12 hours of this game, and I haven't had any gameplay bugs. So yeah, I don't think this game's a buggy mess. I know they did a patch update, and I'm sure I'll do more. But you had reports that patch update didn't do anything. Which either that's false or the game just didn't have that many problems to begin with. And obviously, you know, experiences can be different. But I do believe it's unlikely you're going to get such a broken game. You'll probably get you might get some funny bugs happening. like in the main hall area of the school, and you have that front desk. There's like a Psyduck. That Psyduck is actually floating. If you look behind the counter, but that's not game breaking. That's just funny. It doesn't matter. I haven't had any glitches that have been annoying, not funny, and ones that have impacted gameplay. I haven't had any that impact gameplay. So yeah, I don't think you'll find many. This isn't a buggy mess of a game. It's just not the prettiest looking open world, but the open world itself is really good. I genuinely have no gameplay complaints. Like with the wild Pokemon going around, it's easy. It makes things easier because you can find something specific. Because open world, you can see what's happening. And also it like best shows the scale of Pokemon. However, that does mean like very small ones, like bug types, you can accidentally bump into. But that's just kind of, I think it's intentional. It's kind of to create that wild Pokemon encounter that was unexpected, like in the old games. And again, you can avoid it if you are paying attention, which I do not pay attention a lot of the time. So yeah, that's my half an hour tangent. We've gone 31 minutes here about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because Violet's the same game. I'm just very happy with the game, and I think it's gone a bad rep, and I want to, like if I think something's good, I'm gonna say good things about it. I don't think this game is bad. I think it's really good. It might be my game of the year. It genuinely might be. And I'm gonna play it a lot, and I'm sure I'm gonna like Pokemon Shield too. So I don't know. I think we need to give the Pokemon Company a bit of a break. This is a fun, charming game, and I think it's surprisingly user friendly. I think this game deserves more respect, because I do think, like a Pokemon fan or someone who wants to become a new Pokemon fan like myself, I think like negative review bombing this game, giving it like one star reviews or whatever the fuck, unfairly, I think that's really bad, because you could put people off getting the game. And I really do think the majority of people, if they are interested in Pokemon, they're going to like this game a lot. So yeah, especially if we get more patches, which I'm sure you will. And I don't think there needs to be any patches, because I have no outstanding issues. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Pokemon Scarlet. I'll probably be posting more Pokemon clips and whatever else. One game I got was Sifu, and that's a great game. Fantastic combat and stuff. And I'll probably be making like compilations of good clips on that. With like all the like fight scene stuff. I'll probably do that at some point. And also my Wrestling Empire series. Me and Erin will continue it eventually, hopefully. But that series is quite demanding, and it didn't get many views. But obviously, it's something you want to do anyway, so that if view count doesn't like impact whether I'm gonna do more of it or less of it, It's just whatever I want to do. Like, nobody asked for my review of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but this is what you're getting. So yeah, thanks for watching. Happy New Year. Bye.